Hi, so I want to give you side by side of two of these water distillers. So on the right here is the MegaHome, and the MegaHome is really the gold standard in water distillers, while on the right or on the left here is the RovSun, and the RovSun is a cheaper brand, and it's cheaper by about $100. So this particular one I've been using for about half a year, while the other one I am actually getting for my parents. So I really wanted to just give you a side-by-side detailed look of the pros and cons of each. So let me get started here and give you a close-up. So first, you'll notice that the RovSun is actually a little bit taller. It's taller by 1.5 inches, and the reason why that matters is because if you have an overhanging counter, these things actually blow out a lot of cold air, so you don't want it blocking, and you want a good decent clearance. So just be a little bit aware of that you know, this will have less clearance by about 1.25 inches. So the other thing is really just looking at these fan blades. The MegaHome one is actually plastic there, so you'll notice it's plastic, while the RovSun is all metal, as you can see. Now, there are some slight differences as far as the usability. So you'll notice with the jar, for example, it's actually very convenient, and it's actually a more stylish jar. You could simply take off the lid, and this thing actually slides perfectly over this spout here. Whereas this particular one, you actually can't necessarily pour the water as conveniently. It also comes with the cap for you to align the spout, which actually turns out to be not as convenient as you would think. Now let me just go dig into actually the container and also a lot of the details with the spout. So inside here with the spout, it's actually lined with glass, and that's a separate piece that I'll show, and maybe I could actually pop it off now. So let me just wiggle it and pop it out. And you could see there is a piece that is lined with glass there. And in there is a filter of coconut shells, which gets rid of the toxic gases. Now let me take off the cover here and give you a detailed view. Now both of these has, what you can see, those stainless steel coils. So the condensation touches only the stainless steel coils, except for the RovSun. There's actually a silicone tube that drips into the stainless steel drip spout. Whereas with the MegaHome, it is purely through the stainless steel and into this glass spout and right into this gallon container. Now you notice the thickness of the glass here, and this thing is similar with the, and I don't want to concentrate too much on the jugs, but in reality the jugs itself is just as important because it adds to the day-to-day usage and convenient factor. So let me take off this lid and show you just how thick the glass is. So when I take off this lid and just slide it out by twisting it, it's actually a fairly thick glass, but it's not as refined. This is not as refined as the MegaHome, even though it is thick glass. You can see there is rough edges here, but that at least it's a little bit easy to clean here. While with the MegaHome, you know, you have your very refined, you know, nice smooth edges and also thick glass. Now let me just go to the meat of the of these two water distillers. First, the MegaHome. So these things are, so I'm struggling a bit to take it off only because the camera's in the way, or the tripod of the camera's in the way. Otherwise it's pretty easy to take off if I had the room. So this is the lid here of the MegaHome, and this is the canister, and as you can see, I've used this plenty where the mineral deposits get burned into the bottom. And I actually have to use vinegar or citric acid to get it out. And while I take that out, I'm going to take this side out. So let me move this out of the way and take this out. And you notice this is actually a lot taller when you really look at it from this angle. And close up, you could once again see the stainless steel coils. And you could see now the two caps. And actually, let me put them side by side so you could see them a little bit better. And right away, you'll notice two distinct differences. And actually, let me take off this also, so that you could see the two spouts. So the two spouts here, this is metal, this is the stainless steel metal, and this is the glass. However, as you could see with the RovSun one, this is actually a silicone tube, a flexible silicone tube, while with the MegaHome, that is stainless steel tube that just drips into this container here. The other thing you'll notice about the cap is that this RovSun actually has a slight improvement. You see there's a guard over that condensation spout there. And let me go ahead. So you notice there's this guard here. And that's good because it guards against the splash of when the initial water is boiling. So you don't have the sort of contaminated water going into the condensation drip collection. So this blocks the contaminated water, while with the MegaHome you don't have that. But I would say it probably is very unlikely. When I test the water, it is very pure distilled water. It is only 2 parts per million. So that is probably, you know, a very, very small factor that really affects the water quality. But on the other hand, I simply did just want to point out something that RovSun does do that MegaHome doesn't. And as far as the canisters, you'll notice, you know, this is a lot cleaner because I haven't actually used it much. I've used it twice just to test it out. But the canisters themselves, once again, let me put them side by side so that you can sort of see if there's any difference here. So at least you could see a clean one versus one that's used for half a year. And this one will discolor just as much. You'll notice here it does have rimmed edges, and that won't affect it much, but it might have more mineral deposits along those edges because it's not as smooth. And the other thing you'll notice is one of them is stainless steel. And even though this isn't much of a fingerprint magnet, when you're in the kitchen, you're gonna have greasy hands. So it'll end up being a fingerprint magnet, even though the stainless steel is designed very well that it doesn't collect a lot of fingerprints. But in general, that's really one of the most of the stuff I wanted to mention. I guess I'll, you know, spin it to the back here. The other thing I also want to mention, both has a gasket that you could simply remove and wash, and the MegaHome is no different. It has this gasket. As far as the fan noise, both of them make, you know, similar noise, which is, you know, sounds a little bit like a medium-low Vornado fan if you have one of those. But let me just go ahead and show you the back here. So both of these basically they work the same in that they trigger a circuit breaker which shuts it off automatically once the water boils over. In my case, what I do is I actually use one of these smart plugs to stop, to time it, to have a countdown timer. So I'll time it for 4.5 hours or 4 hours and 45 minutes to shut off the electricity, in which case it won't even boil over. Even though it doesn't boil over completely, it's still moist at the bottom, so you don't have to worry about it, you know, really searing any of the minerals at the bottom to the point where it's dry. It doesn't actually do that. But in any case, I really wanted to just give you a better look. You'll notice this is about a 1/4 inch shorter than the RovSun. But overall, I guess that's it. I hope this comparison helped, and please subscribe, and thank you for watching.